All right, toe yoga. So we're gonna get a couple of minutes playing with the toes. First of all, we're gonna get Kane, he's gonna get his fingers, he's gonna interlace them between his feet, getting all the way down to as deep in the knuckle as possible. This can be quite tricky for some people have fatter fingers, but do your best to get fingers as far into your toes as possible and just work them around, all right? You're gonna feel a few cricks, a few cracks, a little bit of pain here and there, which is perfectly normal, but just try and move them around as much as possible. Stuck in shoes all day long, these toes are getting really jammed up. So do that for a minute, and then the second minute, we're gonna grab each individual toe and just have a play. Move it around, twist it, rotate it, flex, extend, spread, anything you can do with your toes that it probably never normally does. All right, you're gonna have a minute of that, 2 minutes total, make sure you do both sides. All right, Ray, rub out. So we're getting in between our toes. I'm not gonna touch your feet. Getting in between your toes can get quite jammed up, quite constricted, blood flow gets stopped, nerve supply gets stopped. Again, coming back to those smaller toe boxes. So what we're gonna do, get our thumbs, get our fingers, exactly what Kane's doing, getting in between those bones. Now we've got first ray as the big toe, all the way to the fifth ray, which is the little toe. So your work that day will be either between first, second, third, fourth, or fifth, whatever it says on the program. But spend a little bit longer on the tight spots. You'll probably find some really tender spots, which are really gnarly, so hang out a little bit longer. If your fingers and thumbs don't quite like that, get yourself a pencil with an eraser on top and do exactly the same thing. It's a little bit nicer on the skin, nicer on the fingers, and again, just spend a couple of minutes playing with the tender spots. Now, not everybody's going to be tender in the same spots, but find what's tender for you, rub it out, and help improve that blood flow. Plantar mash. So, grab yourself a mobility ball, a nice tough one. We don't want a tennis ball, it's a little bit too soft. But what we're gonna do, grab the ball on the floor and we're gonna get into our plantar tissue. That is all the tissue on the bottom of our foot. Can be quite stiff and gnarly, so embrace this kind of suckiness that you're gonna feel. Exactly what Kane is feeling there, but like try not to just go all willy-nilly with the ball. Start on the outside and put some pressure down and roll onto the inside. Work your way down, centimeter, outside to inside. If you do find a pretty tender spot, hang out a little bit longer. But we basically want to work all the way from underneath our toes up to the heel. Don't go on the bone, especially the heel bone, that's just too nasty. But just work out and mash out all that tight tissue in the foot, spending a couple of minutes on each side. Before you go to the next foot, just have a walk around and notice the difference between the one you've just done before the next one. You'll really start to see that difference in what we want to get out of this, okay? Toe spreaders. So we're gonna get some more space between these toes that is taken away from most modern day shoes, squashing those toes together in the toe box. So what we wanna try and get is with our toes, is spreading them out as far as we can. Now again, this is not the easiest thing to do. You're gonna try very hard up here for not a lot of movement down here. So just getting a bit of movement out to the side is great. Hold for a second or two and relax. Spread. Again, won't move much, especially we don't. Kane doesn't move at all. He needs a bit of work. And just play with it. Again, this will get easier with more repetitions, but biggest thing to do, don't get too frustrated straight away if nothing's working. The fact that the brain is working, it means something is happening, and it's just trying to recreate that connection that most of us have lost. Toe tucks, cool. So we're gonna get a big stretch in on the top of the foot. Give the top of the foot a bit more love than the bottom normally gets. So, going on to one foot, we're crunching the toes underneath, getting a big stretch through the top of the toes there, up through the foot into the ankle. Now this can get a little bit gnarly, so be careful of putting too much load on. Hold on to something if need be, just take a little bit of load off. Can't quite get to that minute, accumulate it, just so you can get there if you can't quite get there all at once. All right, so make sure you hit both sides. But the more you can do this, the more deep you get into the stretch and the more you can tolerate that stretch. Right. Arch pronations. So again, use something that you're gonna hold on to because not many people are gonna do this straight off the bat without some kind of balance. So we're gonna come up onto our tiptoes, but we're focusing on coming up first on the pinky. So Ken's gonna go up on the pinky, then he's gonna pronate across onto his big toe. Pinky's gonna come up, and then he's gonna come back down kind of on the inside arch. Then we're gonna reverse it, come up onto the big toe, supinate across onto the pinky and back down. That's one rep. We're doing 25 of these. So there's a lot going on. That's what the balance is here to help with. Take your time and really focus on going up on one side, across, and back down the other. You're going to feel all kinds of muscles working, which is the best thing about it. StrongFit 5. So we're building together all this connection through foot, ankle, calf, glutes, hammies, that whole complex of the leg. So Kane's got something to hold on to start off with because most people will need that just for balance. Shoulder width apart. We've got that big toe and little toe jammed into the ground. And he's going to come up onto his tippy toes, but it's going to take 5 seconds to get all the way up. Once we're at the top, 5-second hold. But this is where we want to bring in your hammies and your glutes. A little bit tricky to start with, especially the hamstrings, but just play around with it. After a 5-second hold, 5 seconds down. That's 1 rep. We do the exact same thing for 5 reps, but I want to make sure we get 5 perfect reps. So if you come down too fast, go up too fast, lose balance, fall off your feet, don't count that rep. It doesn't mean you have to do 5 in a row, just 5 perfect reps total. You should start to feel that whole complex of the leg from toes all the way up to glute, feeling really strong. Patrick step-ups. So we're working on a little bit of our quad development, the VMO muscle inside the quad there, and also some ankle range of motion. So on one leg, Kane is holding on because again, we need a bit of balance support here. He's gonna reach out with his other leg and tap his heel. We'll notice though, he's got one straight line going from ankle all the way up to his shoulder. So he's kind of leaning back, he's reaching as far as he can, but what we've got to make sure of is that big toe is down and he's not collapsing through that heel. Through the arch, sorry. We keep that knee straight over the toes and we should start to feel it in the ankle, a little bit on the Achilles, but mainly on that inside quad on the standing leg. Again, hold on to start off with, but you should be able to look pretty good at this with some strength to take away that balance and start doing this a lot easier with that build up of strength. So glute and TFL mash. We're getting your trusted mobility ball again, and we're gonna stick it into our glutes and our TFL. So Kane's got the ball there. He's gonna explore anywhere around the glutes there where it is tender for you. It could be up high, down low. Just fish around, find what's tight for you. Spend a good couple of minutes on that position, either side as well. But then the TFL, best way to find that is you find hip bone off to the side slightly, and it's down the leg. Normally where most people's pocket sits, you'll know when you find it because it's going to jump out quite nastily, just like that. And just like I say, embrace that pain just a little bit more. Like you never want to go to the point where it's too painful, the fact that you can't breathe very well and you can't hold a conversation. So just a bit of discomfort is good, and just hang on there until it starts to dissipate. Enjoy that one.